I work in film and TV. I'm a food blogger. I love to cook. And in the last 15 years, I've been working in employment counseling. Now I'm interviewing people who are passionate about the work that they do. I find out what their favorite dish is and I offer to make it for them. You're watching Feedback. Hello, I'm here with Karen, who is the Senior Coordinator in Communications with the municipal government. And Karen, thanks for joining us today and being here. I really appreciate your time coming
Thanks
here.
for inviting me.
You're welcome, you're welcome. What I'd like to sort of get into first is if you can share a little bit about the type of work that you do and how you got into that type of field of what you're doing right now.
Okay, so what I do right now is I support a division in the government, and I support their communication needs. So usually a manager would approach the general manager's office in that division, and they ask for assistance from our team. And we meet with the person and kind of get a sense of what they need in terms of their communication needs. So it could be a park opening, or it could be a pesticide use in the green space in the city. It could be an event that's related to recreation. So there's some kind of communication needs that we have that are pretty constant through the year. Spring, summer, fall, winter registration for recreation programs. So there's like thousands of recreation programs, and it's all a great price, so it's in high demand, and we have to kind of explain how to negotiate that process. So it's any time we need to communicate something to the public, I would help. So I'd build out a comms plan with tactics and work with the subject matter experts to refine the message, and then figure out what products to use to get the message out there. And then I'd work with the designers to get those products out.
Wow.
And and manage media relations as well.
So communications is mostly, what types of communications do you normally use? Like, is it mostly like through the website, or is it through print, or is it TV?
We use all of
various,
those.
right?
Yeah. So it depends on how big the project is. If it's just something fairly small and local, it could be just a flyer or a postcard. If it's fairly large and complex, we would use lots of different channels. So we would use, we could purchase advertisements on radio, TV. We could purchase ads for newspapers and local newspapers. We could translate depending on the audience. We might have a really robust social media component where we're out on social media and we're doing like a Twitter chat or something like that. We can do video and have it posted on the website. So there's all kinds of, like, it depends on who the audience is and what the message is and how important it is and how widespread it is. And so it's kind of like applying all of those decision-making points to how to move forward, and then I would make recommendations. And of course, it depends on resources too. So if they've got a big budget,
no problem.
We can do it all.
How is communications and marketing different? Because it sounds like you do some marketing, but I know you have a marketing department. Do you find the roles sort of blend sometimes, or is there a clearly defined, how far does communications go in marketing?
That's a really good question. I think we struggle with that, actually. I think communications, for me, is understanding the overall strategy. So, you need to know why you're talking to people and what you want them to do with the information. And so that's what a communication strategy is. And you got to think about, how are you managing your reputation when you're doing that as well? And, so you're balancing a lot of different things, and then you're figuring out how to push out that message. Marketing is more about, I think, more of a sales perspective.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, figuring out how to, you know, once you get people to do what you want them to do, keep them doing it, and then talking about it more. And so it's almost, you know, yeah, I see it more in a sales perspective.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But I think there's lots of overlap, lots of similarities. I mean, because you do, like, I have a very strong opinion that you need to measure your results too. So I think communications can be really difficult to measure in the end.
Yeah.
Marketing is a little easier to measure because the tactics that you would use for marketing would be very specific to, you know, your return on investment.
Right.
So,
your ROIs. Right?
Yeah, your KPIs, you know, your key points that you need to, your key indicators that you need to.
And I guess with marketing, they can measure like how many people attend an event, or, you know, does marketing measure that, or is that part of the communications?
It could.
Like, how would you measure your outcomes of the project?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, we would measure it by hits to the website, but it would have to be related to the campaign that we had. So you'd have to figure out, okay, you're sending out an e-blast or an email, and you have to be able to know when a person clicks on that link and then they go to your website, that you know specifically that that got tied to your email campaign. So that's a clear measure. A lot of times, you know, communication folks think, okay, we'll just push things out and that's the measure. So we'll buy advertisement, we'll send out all these messages, and that's going to be a report back. We did all of these things to push out the message. But it's, to me, and in my opinion, you're not measuring the effectiveness of that in the end. You may be saying, I did all this, and here's the potential eyes that saw it. So, you know, in the advertising world, they say impressions. So how many times someone looked at your message. And, you know, then it goes into this whole kind of like, well, you know, the more times people see your message, the more it sinks into their consciousness, the more they'll remember it at some point in the future, and the more they'll do what you were asking them to do. So it's very, to me, a little bit airy-fairy about how far you can get with that. And, you know, I mean, quite frankly, you can't necessarily measure specifically what your efforts were and what impact they had in the end, unless you have a lot of money, because then you could do like Ipsos read, you know, surveys and drill down, ask people exactly whether their attitude changed about something that you were trying to promote.
Well, it sounds like your work is really interesting, and like there's a lot of challenges. What would you say you like least about it? Like, is there any days where you're just like pissed off and just want to like go home, you know?
I'm never pissed off enough to just go home, because I just go
or take a break.
I'll go to my colleagues and just complain or vent or whatever, and everybody has the same experience. And I think it's, you know, mostly the minor frustrations are, you know, working in a bureaucratic government, you know, just there's not a progressive way of thinking, and they're very risk adverse. So they, you know, they don't want to take risks. They don't want to do things that are new, and new things scare them. And, you know, so, and I love to take, you know, risks. You know, calculated risks. And I love to do new and interesting things and expand and, you know, kind of push the envelope a little bit. So that can be a little bit frustrating to not be able to kind of bring things to a point, but I measure my satisfaction by how far I can nudge things forward a little bit. And I think I've been pretty good at doing that so far in my job. So I'm happy about that. I think what's really frustrating for me is more trying to explain how effective communication works to somebody who just doesn't get it, or doesn't respect it, or kind of thinks it's, you know, not important. And then that to me can be really frustrating.
I'd like to know how you got into this field. Like, what brought you to like communications? Did you start off somewhere else, or was that something you've known for a long time that you wanted to work in communications, or how did you get there?
I've kind of meandered a bit in my career. So I think I started out, well, okay, so we'll go back to high school actually, which is kind of funny. I mean, I was
just like a couple of years ago,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, just a couple of years ago. I started out really wanting to be an artist, and I was really good at it, but my art teacher lost my portfolio.
What?
It's a long, sordid story about, things in the Sioux.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Anyway, so that determined whether I was going to go to art school. But in the end, it was a good thing. I mean, art was different way back then. You know, you didn't do graphic art. You weren't a graphic artist on a computer. You hand did everything.
Okay,
so,
right.
So anyway, so what I did was I went into psychology and decided to, you know, I liked helping people and that sort of thing. So, so then I got my BA in psych, and you know, kind of told myself at the end of the summer if I didn't get a job, I would travel, and I ended up getting a job August 29th out of university.
Damn it, you didn't travel.
I didn't travel yet. So I took, you know, my first kind of adult job was in children's aid, actually.
Oh, wow.
And my specialty was working with teens in conflict with their parents. So, you know, I enjoyed that work, but then I went into child protection full stop, and that kind of killed me. So it was tough work. You just, you know, you kind of see things that you just, nobody should really see.
Yeah, I've worked with youth before.
Yeah, well, these are kids, little ones, when I was doing straight child protection work.
Definitely,
yeah. So I, at that time, kind of was struggling about whether this was something I should continue doing. So I collected a bunch of vacation days, and I went to a yoga center to take like a massage course.
Okay.
And I stayed there for a month, and I took this massage course, and I did lots of yoga and lots of meditation, and had a lot of revelations during that time, one of which was I can't do child protection anymore. It was really hard on me emotionally. So when I got back to my job, I finagled a 6-month another 6-month leave, where I went to the Caribbean and taught moms in the Caribbean, and then I traveled down into South America and kind of, you know, had lots of epiphanies, and you know, what do I want to do, and where do I want to go, and who am I, and all of that stuff. And I came back from down south in that traveling experience, and I decided I had to leave the job, and I did. And then kind of jumped into doing counseling for women leaving violent relationships.
Okay.
And then thought, that's still, you know, tough work. Not that, I mean, I think it's really important work, and some people can do it, and it's wonderful, and I was pretty good at it too. But again, as a lifelong career, I think it you know, what they call vicarious traumatization can take a toll on people.
Yeah, there's a lot of burnout in most, you know, social services fields, right? So
so I think, you know, that kind of work you should only be doing for, you know, short periods of time. And when I was doing that kind of work, I thought, you know, seeing a counselor should be mandatory for this kind of work. Like, there should be a counselor on staff, so you're processing this stuff and not burying it, because we used to Yeah, we used to go out for drinks with the cops, you know, and kind of have these morbid, joking evenings about the stuff we'd see, and you know, it was just not healthy. You know,
definitely.
Friday mornings were hangover mornings, and you know, McDonald's breakfasts. And, you know, just anyway. I was also quite young, so I could bounce back from that kind of stuff. Everybody could at that time. You know. Anyway. So I left that work and decided I also needed to come to the big city, and that's when I came to Toronto. And then bounced out of Toronto pretty quickly and moved to Tokyo. So it was doing English as second language. So because you have a university degree, you can go and do that sort of thing. And I got hired through this company and went. And planning only to go for a year, but then I ended up staying for 3. And during that time, I was like, should I go back and get my master's? And if I go back and get my master's, maybe I should, you know, get into, you know, counseling. And I kind of toyed with this idea of going to this university down in California. And yeah, luckily I came back with some savings, so I had some time to kind of bounce around. I, you know, pulled cappuccinos at Tango Palace for a little while and hung out with people, and then I worked as an executive assistant for a short period of time, and then bam, I met this woman with a yoga mat getting on the subway and said, where do you go to yoga? And we got into a conversation, and her dad was running a communications program at the college, so it was like a post-grad deal. And so, bam, that's what I was like, oh, that's what I got to do. So I went back to school.
So what do you think was, like, what got you? Like, what, so you met the girl on the subway or transit, and her father was doing the communications course. Like, what about communications at that time did you think, like, why would you go, why did you go for it? Like,
it wasn't the same work as I imagined. I had a very romantic idea of communications, and more in more in the publishing industry. So I wanted to get into books. I love books, love words, love authors, love storytelling. You know, all of those pieces. And yeah, so I had a pretty romantic idea of the publishing industry, even though during that course, we were told the publishing industry is going through some rough times. You know, you're not going to make the money that you think you're going to make, you know, in it. And but you know, we were all had stars in our eyes, and we all wanted to get in there and work with authors, and you know, so that's what drew me. But the communications work that I do now is corporate communications, so it's different, but it grew into that from, you know, the love of words, the love of you know, communicating something to somebody, you know, refining messages too, like getting in there and digging through sentences, and like I like doing that, you know, so I like kind of editing and, you know, slicing things down into precise, you know, messages for people, so that when you get it, you get it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, exciting journey that you've had. If you had to give somebody advice that they should work in communications, what would you say to them?
Because if you don't love the, you know, the process of sharing information, then you shouldn't work in that field. If you don't love grammar, you know, if you don't love, you know, just kind of trying to figure out how to craft messages, don't do it. But if you do love those things, if you love the spoken word, the written word, if you love design, if you love exploring how humans perceive messages, if you love saying things simply and precisely, if you love, you know, kind of just drilling down to figure out what is important to say and how you can say it most effectively, then yeah, get into this work. It's great. And you have to love working with people and all their egos and all their desire to put their thumbprint on everything that you do. And that everybody thinks they can do communications, by the way, and everybody thinks they can write. Some people have, you know, much stronger ego connection to their writing than others, and so editing can be a, you know, a very sensitive process. So trying to manage someone's ego in the same time as crafting, you know, a great product in the end, or a great communications piece in the end. So yeah, you have to know how to manage people. You have to know, you know, how to manage egos. You have to understand how people perceive information. And advice. You said, what advice would I give someone, or how they would get into the work?
Yeah, like let's say somebody was thinking about getting into communications, but on the fence, and they're like, well, I just don't know enough about it. Maybe I'd like to learn more. Like, what would you share with them? Because if you actually saw something in them and thought, well, they might be good at this, so you know, let me share some good stuff that they might want to hear, because they might not know a lot about it, but you know, they've sort of little interested, and they're like think it might be something that they want to do. Because kids nowadays like have millions of options, and they're just I find they're confused a lot of times. They don't know what to do. There's just so many options, and like they're exploring so many different things, and you know, and sometimes I think they need something where somebody can actually show them, like, this is actually what I do, and this is how I do it. And so would you share anything else that would sort of somebody who's interested but not 100% sure yet?
I guess I'm going to answer that question a little differently
and
say that I don't think that, you know, I think the pressure on people to choose a career is a fallacy. I think that, you know, I bounced around a couple of different careers in my life, and I don't know if that's going to stop either. I mean, not stop with communications. I think everything has been complementary in terms of my skill set. So I think it's more about finding out what your strengths are, and figuring out a way to exploit your strengths. So, you know, if your strengths are, you know, talking to people and convincing them to do something, then that's a good thing, right? Or if your strength is, you know, let me just interpret what my friend said, because they're obviously, you know, having trouble communicating what they mean, and if you're good at that, then yeah, go for it. But getting into the field, you just, you know, social media is always changing, and it's one channel, and if you use that really well, and you know how to communicate and grow an audience, then yes, communications is definitely something that you might want to look at. Of course, getting your education is important, so you got to get something related to communication. So it could be English Lit, you know, it could be corporate communications, it could be publishing, like I did. It could be psychology. I mean, there's so many, you know, avenues in terms of education to get to a communications job, but in the end you have to show that you know how to identify an audience, and you know what kind of message and how to send that message to that audience. So if you do it through volunteer work, you could do it through your whatever you're doing in school.
Does it sort of align with you and your sort of your values and what you believe in? Is there a connection there, do you think? And
yeah, especially since I'm not in the private sector.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I think it would be harder if I was in the private sector to, you know, use my skill set to convince people that they should buy a product that I don't believe in, or, you know, sign on to a service that I think is just totally not okay, you know, or being involved in an industry that is fundamentally against my value system.
Right.
So working for government, will fit, because it's about services to people.
Right.
And it's about properly using their tax dollars, and that to me fits. So yeah, totally fits with my personality.
Great.
I love to talk, as you can see. I love to write, and I love talking to people about ideas, and I love telling stories. So yeah, it totally fits. I'm mostly vegetarian. I'm moving towards eating a vegan diet, but at the same time I love leather. And so it's like, how do you
how do you combine those two?
Yeah.
Do you feel guilty when you're wearing leather and you're in a vegan restaurant, or have you ever done that?
Yes.
Nice.
I don't know. I mean, part of me, just as I've gotten older, I've kind of let go of all of these identities that you're supposed to have, and including a queer identity. Just for me, it's when you're different than the general population. I mean, other than me being white and European, I don't really fit. So I think most of my tribe is very fragmented. So I have this tribe, I have that tribe, I have this tribe, I have that tribe. And so I hang out with writers, and I hang out with artists, and I hang out with people who are spiritually interested, and I hang out with hedonistic lovers of consumption, and I hang out with people who are really interested in politics, and I hang out with runners. Well, actually I don't hang out, that's a lie. I talk to runners as I run on my own. So yeah.
So you run often?
Yeah. So I'm and it's I really love running. I didn't always, but now I do, and I signed up for a half marathon just recently. So
wow, good for you.
Yeah.
Awesome. How do you feel that taking care of yourself and exercise and eating healthy is obviously, it plays a huge role in terms of being motivated and focused on your work, because you can love your job, but how do you feel about everything else outside your job? How do you sort of stay in that zone to sort of handle the difficulties in life? Sometimes something comes up and it's stressful, but if your life isn't in order, sometimes it can make stressful things seem really big. So what do you do to take care of yourself?
Well, I watch my language around how I talk about my life. So I don't, when I go into work on Mondays, I don't say, oh, the weekend wasn't long enough.
Yeah.
And I don't say, oh God, thank God it's Friday, unless I'm tired and I just need rest,
Right.
But I think, you spend so much time at work. Why would you spend all that time hating it?
Exactly.
I mean, you just have to leave if you hate your job. Why would you want to spend your life doing something that you hate? Even if it's anything else, you just can't, anyway. So that's my little, rant. So I watch what I say. So, I had a great weekend. I love the weekend, and I'm glad to come into work in the morning on Monday, so it's, so I watch my language around that stuff. I exercise almost every day. I get up really early in the morning, and I work out before I go to work.
Wow.
Because I like sweating, makes me feel awake.
Right.
I've always been interested in health and nutrition and things like that. And I think in a future career, I've considered naturopathy or or anything nutritionist or something like that. So I enjoy that. So I eat well. I recently decided that I needed to look at my alcohol consumption as well. So I just cut it out for a whole 3 months, totally no alcohol, and really analyzed how it made me feel, what it was all about, you know, and again, that makes me an outsider in our society, because our society is so, you know, completely structured around this is how you know, that's how you spend time with other people, you know, and that somehow means celebration, or somehow means comfort, or somehow means, you know, stress relief. And I started to analyze all that stuff, and it's actually total bullshit. That's it's not. It's something that is culturally created to mean that, but the actual substance of alcohol is really harmful to your system. So it's like, it's incredibly drying. It's a fact, a carcinogen, and the queer community has higher rates of breast cancer because of alcohol consumption and cigarette smoking and stuff. It doesn't mean I'm pure, because I do like to drink every once in a while, and every once in a while I'll also have a cigarette. So it's like, you know, that's again, like, how do you fit that stuff together with me? Well, it's, you know, people are complex, and that's to me, like, so that to me is what health is. It's about, you know, kind of being fully conscious about what your choices are, and making them with full understanding of what the choice is. So not being unconscious about what you're choosing to do in your actions. So that's what I think is true health. And
you mentioned spirituality and meditation a couple times. How does that play a role in what you do in your life? Do you practice meditation, or?
I go in and out, like I'm on the cushion, off the cushion, you know, like I think, you know, and I'm not going to say that you can meditate as you walk through life, but I think sometimes you can. Like, again, it's about consciousness. So if you know what's going on in your head, and you can only do that if you've practiced sitting on the cushion and observing what's going on in your head.
Right.
Like, so we've got billions of thoughts racing around our head all the time, even when we're talking or concentrating on something else. And meditation helps you kind of observe it and maybe slow it down a bit, maybe. There's always going to be thoughts even when you're meditating.
Right.
You know, it's just finding the gaps, I guess. And so, I think, you know, that I spend a lot of time alone. So, you know, I think silence is a good thing.
Right.
As well. So
settle the waters, sort of. Going on.
It's like, when you shake a glass bottle full of water and sand, and then it's all cloudy and messy, and then you set it in silence and let it sit, you know, things get clearer.
Right.
So
I always think of meditation as sort of you're brushing your mind kind of thing, you know.
It's like, flossing your teeth, you know, washing your face, letting
cleanse,
things settle.
You've talked about also your eating habits. You're vegetarian, vegan. So I'd like to offer to make your favorite dish for you, just for sharing your story here and giving us a piece of your life and what you do in your work. So if I were to ask you what your favorite dish or meal is, what would that be?
I was, I mean, I still don't know what the answer to that question is. I just love food. And so for me, I could probably more easily tell you what I don't like.
Okay.
I know, it's a hard thing. I guess I could say, okay, but you need an answer. So
I don't need a specific dish. If we can sort of narrow down maybe the type of food you like to eat, like what brings you comfort and you love it. Like, you know, you're not like a closet bacon eater or anything like that, obviously. But, you know, so what type of what brings you comfort when you want to eat and you're just like, I'm going to treat myself today and I'm going to have this, or I'm going to make this. Or I'm going to run out to a restaurant and have it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's funny because I think, too, I mean, the whole idea of what a treat is, like I've analyzed that as well.
Yeah.
Like, you know, most people, you know, kind of equate treat with something unhealthy.
Bad. Right.
And I don't do that anymore. Like for me, treat is about nourishment and what's going to make my body feel really good. So, so like for me, having a treat would be like, any kind of really great fresh vegetables that have been done up, you know, not overcooked, you know, with like a really yummy sauce. Like I love tahini and sauces.
Okay.
I love any citrus in sauces, yeah, so like a mound of really yummy vegetables with a delicious sauce on it with like a whole grain of some sort and a protein. The protein, sometimes I eat fish. But mostly it's like tempeh or tofu or seitan.
Great. Well, I'd love to have you back over for dinner tomorrow night. Works for you?
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. So thank you for sharing your story today.
Thanks for
I
inviting
really
me. appreciate
appreciate everything you've shared with us, and I'm sure the viewers would appreciate that as well. So
Great.
thank you for coming today.
Thanks, Oscar.
Karen she gave me a pretty general idea of the type of food she likes. She said she does like Asian food, so I think I'm gonna try and make her a green curry. But if you really knew me right now, you would know I'm like pretty much crapping my pants because I'm really nervous about making this dish because it's a vegan dish as well, and I'm not, you know, I don't cook a lot of vegan ingredients. So I'm here in Chinatown right now, gonna pick up some ingredients. Hopefully I can find what I need here, and I'm gonna get ready to, you know, make a great dish for her. Peace. Should have brought my parka. It's fucking cold outside. Yeah, that's cilantro. This might be the same galang as that stuff. Ooh, oh, there's some lemongrass. I'll buy this. Found all these ingredients that I didn't even know existed, like galang. Never bought those before. Awesome, I got them. Oh wait, I should put my groceries in the back because I got all my goods and it's freezing out. Welcome back to Feedback. So Karen yesterday gave me a pretty general idea of the type of food she likes. She did say she enjoyed Asian food. After the shoot, she actually did tell me she likes a Thai green curry, so I'm gonna make that for her. I've never made it before, but yesterday I ran out and picked up some ingredients, and I'm super excited to make it for her, and I hope she likes it. What I'm also gonna make is I'm gonna make a raw peanut butter chocolate parfait for her. For dessert, it's going to be super luscious and creamy, and I really think she's going to enjoy it. So I'm going to make that first. I'm also going to make a ginger miso salad. So I'm ready to make the raw peanut butter parfait. So I'm first going to strain the cashews and the macadamia nuts. So it's got sort of a creamy texture to it. All the dates have mixed into it with the macadamia nuts and the cashews. So I'm gonna make the chocolate part of the parfait, and I have 1 can of full-fat coconut cream milk. I'm gonna pour that into the bowl. I'm then using 2 tablespoons of cane sugar and 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder. So I finished blending up the chocolate coconut cream. It didn't quite thicken up as much as I'd like it to. I think I needed to really use just the coconut, the fat in the can of coconut. I used a little bit of water, so it didn't really thicken up, but I'm gonna try and layer it up anyways and see how it goes. If it doesn't work, it's sure gonna fucking taste good, so who cares? So again, this is peanut butter, natural peanut butter, macadamia nuts, cashews, and a bit of dates for sweetness. Okay, next I'm gonna add the coconut chocolate cream sauce. So as you can see, it's not very thick, but I think you can still see the layer on top of the peanut butter, but I'm not sure once I put the peanut butter down on it if it's gonna stay that way. Let's find out. Let's see if it drops like a bomb, and if it does, like I said, it's still gonna taste good. I'm gonna try and do it nice and slowly. It's pretty thick, it may just drop. Not bad, not bad. Oh yeah, it's dropping. I still think it looks good. And my final ingredient, I have some nice cacao nibs to put on top. Give it a bit of crunch, some more chocolate cacao taste. Give a little surprise when you bite into it. Now I'm gonna make the ginger miso dressing for the salad. So I'm gonna use one orange, the zest of one orange and the juice of one orange. I'm going to use one garlic clove, a tablespoon of ginger. I'm gonna use 2 tablespoons of soy, a teaspoon of sea salt, olive oil, and 2 tablespoons of miso. Check it out, see how it tastes. Oh yeah, that's the bomb. So I'm all set to make the salad that goes with the ginger miso dressing. And I'm going to use cucumber, carrots, green onions, a red pepper, and I have some green leaf lettuce that I'm going to use. So I'm going to chop it all up into strips. I'm going to layer the green lettuce onto the plate and then put all the strips on top of the salad to make it look nice, bright, and colorful. So I'm all set to plate the salad now. I've chopped up all the ingredients. It actually looks like a nice rainbow of colors. And so what I'm gonna do first is I'm going to take some green leaf lettuce to layer it on the plate. Just make a little bed of lettuce here. Make it look nice and green and vibrant. Then I'm just gonna add all the different vegetables on top. You want to add some color, so I'm gonna go for the red first. Just put that on there like that. Green onions. Let's go for some carrots. And then some crunchy cucumbers to round it all out, give it some extra crunch. And there you have it. So I'm gonna make the green curry paste for the curry. The ingredients are quite complex. So what I have for the ingredients are cumin and coriander that I ground up in my grounder. Cumin and coriander that I ground in my grinder. Cumin and coriander that I ground up in my grinder. I have 1 tablespoon of soy, black pepper. I'm going to be using 1 tablespoon as well. Sorry, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, finely chopped lemongrass, 15 green chilies, 8 garlic cloves, 2 shallots, a tablespoon of lime leaves, sweet basil, coriander, and galangal, which is a form of ginger. For this dish, they always say to use galangal, so that's why I went to Chinatown yesterday to try and grab some of this. So I've chopped up all the ingredients and now I'm going to put it in a food processor to make up a sort of pasty consistency, and then I'm going to use it for the green curry once I put it all together. So I'm just going to add the ingredients and blend it all up. So we're now going to move on to the green curry. So I've made the paste with all the ingredients that I showed you previously. I'm going to have some broccoli and sweet potatoes in the curry. As well, we're going to have some snow peas, some vegetable broth, and some creamy coconut milk. So once we get this going, we're going to throw it all into a pot, let it simmer and get nice and juicy, and I'm running out of words. Okay, I'm going to start with the green curry. I'm going to turn on the stove to medium high because I really want the green curry paste to sort of open up and release all the flavors in the lime leaves, and all the garlic is going to come out. Ooh, hear that mellow down. The calmness of the sizzle. So I'm gonna clamp down the lid so that I can get all the juices flowing throughout the sweet potatoes and the broccoli so that it gets all nice and tender and it absorbs all the yummy juices. I also marinated some tofu overnight with some soy sauce, sesame oil, ginger, garlic, a bit of vinegar, and a splash of water. So what I'm going to do now is fry it up in the frying pan here. I got some hot oil, and I'm going to throw them in there, get them nice and sizzled up, and I'm going to put them in the plate. And once we're ready, we're going to throw them into the yummy curry sauce. Next, I'm going to put the tofu in the curry. Okay. Yeah. So Karen, again, I'm saying so. Karen has arrived. She's in my dining room right now, waiting for some delicious food. Damn spoon. Good? Yeah. I'm going to dress the salad with some ginger miso dressing that I made earlier on. So I'm just going to drizzle a little bit on top, just around the plate. Ooh, that looks really good. Look at how orange it is and citrusy. Here it is, Karen.
Yay!
So here's the ginger miso salad. So it's made with some ginger, miso. I have some orange zest and oranges, orange juice in it as well. We have some carrots, red peppers, cucumbers, and leaf lettuce. So
oh, it looks fabulous.
Awesome. I hope you enjoy it. Yeah. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome having you here. I really appreciate you having here, your time, you're sharing your story with us. Thai green curry. 100% vegan.
All right.
Just for you.
Yay.
So there's some fried tofu in it as well. And yeah, it's got all the different ingredients. I was running all over the place trying to find some of the ingredients.
It's spicy.
Wow. It's definitely spicy.
That's really good.
Here's our final dish. It's our dessert dish. Raw peanut butter cup parfait made with cashews, macadamia nuts, coconut cream, cacao. Not bad, eh? Taste the peanut butter.
Yeah, it's totally peanut butter chocolatey.
One more question for you, Karen. As we've talked before, we're always on the path, and you're following the process. But what do you do to stay on the path?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I actually think there's one path. I think there's like, you can choose, you know, the direct route to the top of the mountain, or you can choose the detour.
Right.
But you're going to the same place, and you're, you know, kind of continuing to development as a human being. I think that's probably what we're all doing,
right, in
some way. So I think, you know, in my life, I've probably taken a lot of detours and, you know, did some things that probably weren't all that healthy for me.
Right.
And I probably will in the future. So even though I'm probably going to make some bad choices in the future, I'm going to do them hopefully consciously, not unconsciously, and accept myself as a human being, be gentle with myself, you know, just know that that's what we are and that's what we're naturally going to do. We're going to naturally make mistakes. And I think in the end, you know, if you are consciously making choices, or you asked me if I am, so, you know, I'm making a commitment to consciously make choices and consciously make choices that are good for me, which includes, you know, good health, good eating, you know, spending time with people who are positive, who support me, who have my back, you know.
A lot more of those people in
yeah.
our life.
Yeah.
So surrounding yourself with good people.
And making time for other people too. Like, so it's not just about me and getting stuff from other people, but me giving back.
Sort of like the purpose of this show.
Yeah.
You know, the show is called Feedback, and I'm glad I was able to give back to you with some food, some delicious food. And yeah, I guess we've come full circle with you saying how you were giving back as well. So that's great. That's the whole meaning of the show, is showing, you know, generosity, giving back, and gratitude to people that are sharing the world with us and making it a better place.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming, Karen.
Oh, thanks,
You've
Oscar.
just been feedbacked.
Thanks.